Here, and I'm going to be showing you how to manage your server using the FiveM server provider known as Zap Hosting. It is the most popular server provider, and if you haven't watched my last video on how to purchase one from this company, you should definitely go do that, then come back here, then you'll be all caught up and won't be asking any questions. Okay, first off, you're going to be at this website, and if you don't know it, it's links up here, and I'll also have a link in the description. If you haven't saved it from the last video, like I said, go to the last video, watch it, and you'll be all caught up and be all ready. So be brought to, when you first log in, actually, you should be brought to, I believe, this page. And then this page you will navigate to everything. You want to go to web interface. It's this little monitor icon right up here. And you're going to be brought to this page. This will be all your items that you own from them. Right now, you should only have just one of these up here. Right now, I have a lot because my community is growing and thriving. Right here, you're going to want to click on the green text right here. That will bring you inside the actual server customization dashboard. It might be online, it might be offline, but if it is online, you do want to shut it down, because we will be editing settings and you have to shut it down and start it back up to take any, so everything to go in effect. So it will be stopping it, and you can also hold the button, that little stop button, to restart it, which that does help sometimes if you just want to do a quick restart. I will demonstrate that later. Right here, you're going to have the how long you have everything. So you have, right now I have 6 days, 23 hours, 47 minutes, and 30 seconds before I have to repurchase it. And you can renew it now, or you can upgrade or downgrade it, depending on your situation. Right here, you can buy upvotes. That is to conquer this. It puts your server higher on the server list, which right now it's dominated by people that probably spend thousands of dollars on upvotes. And right here, you're going to have the location of your server, the status if it's online or offline, the IP import. This is right up here. You can use that to connect, and I'll demonstrate that soon. And right here, you're going to have the use space so far, the game, which right now we have FiveM, and the server name. We haven't configured that yet, so it'll just be blank. And the map, and that'll just be blank too. Players, nothing because it's not on. And Nucleus, which is a plugin that is not really needed much. And you scroll down a little bit, you have the RAM usage so far and your slot usage. The slot is how many players are currently in the server, and the RAM is how much storage, like RAM storage, is being taken up, the memory. And you have more descriptions and more news down here. Next page, we have Nucleus, which is that plugin that is, it's an extra control panel. It's not really much. And you have messages. This is all the server news. It's all deals. There could be deals here, and there are problems that have happened to the server. Not much information happening here. And you go to statistics. This shows how many people have been in the server in the last 60 minutes or so. Yep, right here you can select last 60 minutes on all this stuff. And I believe that's all that's on this page. So we'll go to DDoS Manager. This is you have to purchase it. And basically shows you how, if there's been any DDoS attacks on your server, and if there is currently a DDoS attack on your server. It'll notify you and everything. It's pretty nice, but it only goes on select server locations, so it depends on where you are if you really want it. And you have log files. This is a log of files, basically. It's everything that's in your server. So this is the control panel of your server. And right here you're going to have the event log. And this is anything that's started or stopped, anything that's done by you or anyone else that you've given access of this server. It's pretty useful if you want to know who did something. Really useful. And you have service interruptions. These are any interruptions that have happened to your server. And right now this is a lot of basically interruptions that have happened. It's useful if there's something wrong with your server, but it's not really needed much as the servers are up 99% of the time. Then you have your frequently asked questions. This is just people's frequently asked questions about other stuff. It's going to be useful if you're new to it, but if you're used to this stuff, then you don't really need this much. And you can go to the Zap hosting documentation. That's just all the documents on Zap hosting. Right here we have the settings. This is how you actually configure the server. The first thing you want to go to will be settings. And this is, so if the server crashes, you can do restart it automatically after the crash, so you don't have to go in here and start it back up after it crashes. And right here, you can save the settings, reset all options, or reinstall the entire thing from scratch. You can search any settings, but I'm just going to go through each one. Starting with the basic settings, we have the server name. It's default to zap-hosting.com and FiveM server hosting, but for this video, I'm going to change it to testing server. Then right here, you have the admins. You have to do the Steam ID 64 for whoever's joining the server. So to get that, there'll be a link in the description. It actually says it right here too, so I won't put it in the description. You can go to Steam ID.io and you can type in Steam ID. So for me, I will block it out, but I'll type it in here. And it'll pop up with all of this information. You're going to want the one that says Steam ID 64. You will copy that. You will put that right here. And then done. You can put that for more people. To put more people, you just press enter and type it in. And right here you have your database. It'll automatically configure a database, or it won't configure a database. It's basically, this is more advanced stuff for a database. That's if you're using some certain types of scripts and stuff, like for example ESX is economy that needs a database. Language, this is the language for the server listing, and there's multiple things right here, or you can edit it manually, but use standard, which is standard. Scripthook is like plugins that the client side or the player that joins the server has. Most of the time you don't want that, because then you just have the players download whatever they auto downloads when you join the server. It'll download whatever thing you have in the server, so they won't have to download anything. This is not really used that often unless you're having like a mess around server for a lot of other people to join. Then they can put their client side stuff in, like mod menus and stuff like that, and have a decent time. These are the tags. This is what, basically, if you type in these, it'll make more people see your server. It's just like tags on, like, for example, posts on Twitter or Instagram. More people can see it. Most common tags are what this have right here: ESX jobs, RP economy, real life. We won't put any because we don't really need any. Game type. The game mode that the game mode is displayed when the server list is clicked. The setting does not change anything, so it's not really, I've never really used this ever, so not really needed. OneSync. This is if you have a FiveM Patreon subscription. That is $17 or more, and that will be in a later video explained about that. OneSync is if your server needs more than 32 slots, you activate this, and if you have over 32 slots, that's more than the base game can allow, so you have to have a certain thing enabled. Archon password. This is for if you want like a control panel on a different application. Like there's certain applications out there, I don't know any off the top of my head, but it's the password you type in and it'll let you edit them right away. This is the Steam API web key. This is required to establish a connection to Steam. You can generate them here, or it's auto-generated also. And these are other settings like Dunko VRP, ESX, Easy Admin, Whitelist, Essential Mode, and Los Santos Muertos, and Loading Screen. They have all these custom things we'll go through down the road. And there's also the port, Game port, create an announcement, additional port, additional port, additional port, and custom slots. Max is however many you bought. Mine is 10, so I can't go above, but you can go less, which doesn't make sense, because if you bought more, why not use them all? And this is a custom license key. This is what will be explained on a later video on the FiveM Patreon thing, which will be explained in a later video, so check that out. And there's also the last setting down here that says allows the server as a test server on the Zap website. That is if you want people to be able to join your server and test it, which doesn't matter. I don't even know anyone that would join it, but doesn't matter. Then you can click save to save all these settings above. So I will do that because I did change the name. And now we'll go to configs. These are all the configs that you have in the server. Right now there will only be a couple. But this is an easy way to config them. It's not what I would recommend, but it is an easy way for the less experienced people to edit stuff. And this is everything that can be edited in the server. I wouldn't recommend editing with any of this until I explain it in a later video. Then we'll go to games. This is if you want to change your game to something else, which we won't need because we're going to keep it FiveM Windows. I'll go to versions. You can go to a later version of like the FiveM application, which if this one, like the most recent one, is bugged or something, you can go back to a later version and you'll be good. And we have restart planner. You can have your, oh wait, sorry, I skipped one. And we have resources. And these are these set resources that you can have auto installed. There's YouTube loading screen, and it plays a YouTube video. The Los Santos Murders is a zombie game mode, complex survival. There's phones, whitelist, fix the holes in the map. Some holes, it's a little bug with FiveM sometimes. Then there's PvP enabled. Then there's ESX, which is an economy, life roleplay. Traffic adjuster, V menu, which is like a menu you can spawn in vehicles and stuff. Easy admin, Dunko's VRP, which is another life roleplay. And essential mode, which is required for most things, and there's the async. Well, I'll go through these in a later video. And next we have the restart planner. This is where you can have your server to restart at set times in the day, which is useful if you have people in your server and you want your server to restart every night at say midnight. And then your server is fresh and ready for the next day of people. Keeps the server stable and everything set. Now we have the last page, which is tools. And right here we have the FTP browser. This is how you connect to your server and add your custom files into it. You will need, up here it says you will need FileZilla or WinSCP. That is these custom things where you can connect to the server files and add stuff. I will go through all this in a later video, but I'll just do a brief explanation right here. So you have the host, the port, username, and the password. You type these in, and it will connect you to it. And you have direct connection, change password, and set FTP permissions. You have to set these if you like change these recently, and then you set these, and you should be good. And this is the downloads for FileZilla or WinSCP. And I'll go through this in a later video, so make sure to check that out. Now, databases. You don't really need to access these unless you're really doing something like ESX or another known plugin that uses database. This is all the information on it. I'm not really going to explain much of it because not really needed yet. Might do this on a later video depending if it's needed, but I don't not know. And we have backups. You can back up, like your server, say you're editing it and you don't want to break it, so you back it up, and then say you break it and you need to quickly, I'll create a backup quick. So when you click create, it'll create, it might take a while depending on how much stuff you have in the server, but it will back up all the files and put them right here. Right now mine is being created, and when it's done it'll say like you can restore, delete, well, reinstall and delete, I believe. And if the reinstall button is to reinstall it back into your server, which will delete everything that's currently in it and install it with this whatever's on this backup. And you can have all these where it creates backups automatically, and if you want them weekly or daily, and you can delete the old backup or create additional database backups, and you can do day of the week and time and save. And right now I will connect to the server to show you what it's like and how to connect to it. So right now, once it gets done being determined, we will start it up. And while that's starting, you can usually launch your FiveM application, which I have a hotkey for my FiveM, so I just have to press this button and it will load. See, the server now says started and it's currently starting still, but when this thing goes to a green check mark, it is 100% started and ready to connect. Alright, so now that FiveM load is up, you won't see any of this up here at all. By now, you should know how to log into FiveM. I'm just doing a brief explanation. So I have E and B in this reshade thing that just makes the game look oh so better. It's just a couple settings like this and this. And there's music, a little bit of music. It gets annoying sometimes. But right here, you will go to play. And up here, you'll be the IP. So we will go back to this. And you will copy right here. It'll be at the top. You'll Control C. And you'll go right here and you will paste that. And right here, testing server. This is my server and I will connect to it. Since there's nothing in the server, it'll connect fast. And now that there's no loading screen right now, so it'll just be the stock basic one where you can use the arrow keys, move around a little bit, and you can also use WASD to move around. All you can do is move around and like push things, and it's kind of neat how they can do this in a loading screen. And down here in the kind of the middle right bottom thing, it'll show everything that's being downloaded. And now when you're in, you'll get that little first screen. It'll say awaiting scripts in the bottom right, and then you should spawn in. Will spawn in as a random character. But now you're here in the world of Los Santos. So that is how to customize your server using the Zap hosting interface. In the later videos, we'll go more in depth on the certain things like the resources and how to add custom resources into your server and custom vehicles. So make sure to check that out. Leave a like if you liked the video. And if you have any other comments or concerns, comment down below and I will address them.